Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to give it a few moments, maybe at 10:33 before we get cracking. I see a few people have messaged saying they're going to be a bit late, so I'll just give it a few moments and then we get cracking. What I would say is if you can, during the webinar, please feel free to take a picture and post it on social media so people can get the benefit of the recording, which I will put up later on today once it's all done and dusted. Okay, so. Okay, guys, we'll give it just one more minute and we get cracking. I hope to keep this around the hour mark. I may finish a bit early, which may be the first time in my whole entire career, but I possibly will go over. What I'll do is I'll give it a bit of time at the end and people can submit some questions if they want, or case studies. I do actually have one question that came in from a lady in relation to fasting. Let me close that here for a second. I have some questions coming in already. Where's the beard and mustache gone? I apologize, I had to get rid of that. I sent a message, it's not a professional. I should have to draw on my computer. Yeah, so Maura, no problem. You should have no problem listening in. You'll get a lot of information from this, and I'll also send out the notes to you after. And if you do have any questions, give Mick a shout, and if Mick doesn't have the answers, you can give me a message, no problem. So one of the questions I got in before we get into the content was about intermittent fasting. And one of the things I'd say is intermittent fasting is a very effective intervention when it comes to nutrition. One of the things that people don't understand is not everybody is in a balanced state hormonally to begin intermittent fasting. And what happens is when you intermittent fast, you are stopping food coming in the hope that your metabolic rate and your fitness, your metabolic fitness can shift from intake of sugar, carbohydrates, and protein to be efficient at burning fat at rest. And that isn't always necessarily the case. And people can get lightheaded, dizzy, irritable. They can break muscle mass down. It can cause constipation. And so for me, I do think it's a good intervention. For females, however, a protocol that I've been using with great success is a 12-hour reboot where you only eat between 12 hours. And then sporadically over different interventions, you may reduce that window down, is what they call time restricted feeding, where you may get down to maybe 4 hours a day. But I wouldn't be suggesting people go down that line just yet. You have to develop the skill to be able to intermittent fast. And that, in my opinion, is not the best approach for females in the road to gaining their health. Once they feel a bit healthier, the weight loss is coming down, they feel like they can balance their blood sugar levels, that's when I would do something like that. Okay, so let's get cracking and into the content now, guys. Close that. Okay, so welcome everybody to today's webinar. It's going to be on female health. Now, what I've done is over the last couple of months, I've got a number of clients. A lot of my clients are trainers, have their own facilities and train their own clients. And what I've done is I've put together the biggest, if you want to call them, answers to the common questions that I'm getting in relation to female health. Now, if you're out there and you already, if you think your glass bottle or your glass of water is full and you can't let any more information about nutrition and training, well, I apologize. This may not be the place for you. And so, what I'd like you to do is, I'm not saying what you're doing currently with your clients is wrong, or if you're a female out there and what you're doing for your health is wrong. I'm just saying, if you're not getting the results you're looking for, if you're not getting the breaks and plateaus, the reduction in weight, improvement in energy, improvement in skin, well, maybe there's a different approach you can take. So in conjunction with what you're already doing, maybe just park what you're currently doing at the moment and enter into this program with an open mind and see what facets of the information that I cover that you may be able to integrate into your practice now. So, number one, the goal is female health. So when it comes to female health, there's so many different things going on at one time. Now, every female is different. Every male is different. When it comes to females, they have a different, or like they call it, trajectory of health. They have a different timeline, a different road, a different journey when it comes to health. And for what works for one person won't work for another person. I have so many clients. The helicopter going over there. I'll wait for a second. So what works for one person and what gets someone down in weight, bring down inflammation, helps constipation, improves skin, may not necessarily work for somebody else. Also, what worked for you when you were 21 or 22 may not necessarily work for you when you're 42 or 41 or even your 60s. So you have to understand that the intervention must suit the client, must suit the person, and not only at their age in life, but their health in life, their medical intake of medication, maybe their fitness and injury, whether they're premenopausal, postmenopausal, prenatal, postnatal. All these things change the metabolic and the physiology of a female, and that has to be taken into consideration when you put together a nutrition lifestyle plan. Now, a lot of trainers don't do that. I'm not saying that they don't understand what they're doing, but one size doesn't fit all, and we do know that. So one of the things that I see too often, which is a major issue and is damaging people's metabolic function, and it is causing frustration, irritation, and just wearing people down. So the major approach is they eat less food and they exercise more. Just by eating less calories, that the goal is to have that calorie deficit. And that calorie deficit is to initiate the body to tap into its own fat reserves to reduce weight. And I understand how that works. I understand the mathematics of it. I understand the science behind it. But the problem is not every female's metabolism is the same. Not every female's digestion is the same. Not everybody's life, stress, sleep, kids, marital situation is the same. So I did a podcast, and what day is today? I did a podcast on Thursday with Dan from Primal podcast, and he talks a lot about the toolbox and increasing the number of tools you have in the toolbox to look after a client. But I look at this as a hammer. If all you have is a hammer, eat less, train more, everything that you come in contact with has to be a nail. But what if it's a screw? What if it's a bolt? What if it's an Allen key? What if it's something different? So if a female comes to you and she just had a baby, so if a female's had a baby, the last thing you should do is put them on a calorie deficient diet, because they've had a huge withdrawal from their body to make this little person. And then there's a lot of stress that goes along with that. So nourishment, intake of good quality foods. Now, it's been shown that food is broken down into two major categories, and I'm sure I'm not going to, break them all down for you, but we have proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, which are macronutrients. Then we have what's called micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So when you go on any caloric restriction diet or deficit diet, you're either reducing one of the macronutrients. In my opinion, most people should be reducing the majority of carbohydrates. There's some really good carbohydrates out there, but a lot of processed and crap carbohydrates. So when they bring down caloric intake, they're mainly bringing down one of those macronutrients, but they will always be deficient in the vitamin and mineral unless they address that. Every diet ever studied that was on a calorie deficit diet, they neglected key components of the vitamins and minerals. So women are walking around, and I see this all the time when they test their bloods, they're anemic. They have inability to deliver oxygen to the muscle. Now, also the oxygen to any cell of the body for that matter. But the fact of the matter is, when you want to burn fat, two things that we need from a fuel point of view to burn fat. We need fat, obviously, which in my opinion is in a surplus for the majority of people, or we have a lot of it. The second thing we need oxygen. We need oxygen to be able to carry and to metabolize that actual fat in the body. But if you're anemic, if you don't have the ability, or you have an impaired ability to deliver oxygen to the cells, well then energy, fatigue is going to be an issue. And what do most people do? Cardio. And this cardio exercise is causing increased inflammatory cascade in the body, increased oxidative stress, and it's actually causing a lot of breakdown of hemoglobin, particularly if you're outside running. Am I saying exercise and cardio is not the thing to do? No. But I'm saying it's okay to take this female, put on a calorie deficit diet. It's okay to take this female and make her exercise more if she's healthy, if her energy is up, if she's sleeping well, if she's balanced on her blood sugar, metabolism is up, then it's okay to do something like this. But if it's not, it's like taking your car right now outside and going on a Formula One racetrack, you know, putting it through a big stress that it's not ready for. It's not metabolically efficient. It hasn't got the right amount of recovery. And it can break down, and that's what happens, and it causes a lot of restrictions, and not only when it comes to energy, but mood, concentration, libido, self-worth, anxiety, depression. All these things are accentuated with nutritional deficiencies. So for example, we have a vitamin in our body called B6, and B6 is essential for every single number one of our neurotransmitters. So dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, GABA, all these things need B6. But if we're not absorbing our food, if we're having low intake of food and we're not extracting our B vitamins, we're going to be deficient. On top of that, every time you take the contraceptive pill, every time you take any medication for that matter, there's always what's called the DIND. DIND stands for drug induced nutritional deficiencies. So when you open up your medication and you see in that all the side effects, a lot of those side effects are down to the medication itself, but also the depletion of the vitamins and minerals used to metabolize that medication in the body. And they know, the pharmaceutical companies know what has been depleted by the body because they have to. They need to know the detoxification pathways, the cytochrome P450 enzymes that are used in the processing. Why? Because they need to know the time frame, how long that medication stays inside the body to do its job. So they've done this research. And it's quite easy. And when a client comes to see me, I'll always identify what medication they're on, what pathway that goes through, and see how it fits into the dietary recommendations and nutritional recommendations. So first point here, guys, eating less and training more is not always the answer. For 80% of the people, and this is one thing I spoke to Dan on that podcast on Thursday, 80% of the people will get results doing that. 80% of the people walking around, they're 25, you know, they have no kids and no stress and they have a nice life. That's easy for them and that will work. But as you get a bit longer on this planet, when you accumulate a bit few injuries, when you accumulate some metabolic stress, when you've had some maybe menstrual irregularities or digestive irregularities or hormonal problems and thyroid or whatever it is, it doesn't fit that model. And just to keep forcing it doesn't necessarily work. So females out there, trainers out there, look at maybe helping the body, nourishing the body, supporting the body, picking different exercises and follow the system that we're going to go through here in this webinar. So next, what we have, I like to call it personalized programming. It is, and I'm sorry to say this, it is moronic to be following someone else's workout. How does it make you feel? How do you recover after workouts? How does your muscles feel? How does your heart and lungs? What's your energy levels like? Just following somebody else's workout is not suited for you. It's okay for the general amount of people, but if you're out there doing somebody else's workout, it's for somebody else. It's not for you. Seek out a trainer, talk to somebody, go to your gym, just talk to your gym instructor, talk to your personal trainer, talk to your strength coach, whoever it may be, but get a plan for you and get a plan that changes. And the best way to find out whether a plan works for you or not is to do it, see how it works for it, see what your results are, and then change it, modify it and do something different. But don't keep doing the same thing all the time. Just going out running all the time. The positive adaptations from a body composition point of view will stagnate after 6 weeks. So if you're keeping doing something for years on end, it's going to wear the knees, wear on the ankles, wear on the lower back, and it actually mitigates the improvement to the body. But what a lot of people do is they'll do stuff like that thinking that they're burning calories. This is not an algorithm. This isn't an equation. Just because you go outside and burn 300, 400, 500 calories running doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the adaptation from a muscular point of view, from a body composition point of view, from improving the cardiovascular function. We need to change things up on a regular basis. And in that manner, we need to make sure our programs suit our clients. Now, the reason why I say that is HIIT training versus cardio training. So just to set this up, cardiovascular training is where you do long, steady state cardiovascular movements for a long period of time. Long distance running, long distance cycling, maybe you're doing a lot, aerobics class, whatever it may be is. And the goal is to get a bit of a sweat going, to get the heart rate up and so on. Getting the heart rate up isn't necessarily the be all and end all when it comes to body composition changes. It's not necessarily best when it comes to stress management. When it comes to HIIT training stands for high intensity interval training. If the interval isn't high intensity, it's not HIIT. And let me say that again. If the interval is not high intensity, it isn't HIIT training. It's just interval training. So trainers out there, unless you understand the science of energy system training and it's not high intensity, it doesn't mean that it's not HIIT. It's just interval training. So be clear that we know the differentiation. Now, when it comes to HIIT training has been shown to drop body fat. HIIT training has been shown to improve muscle tone. HIIT training has been shown to be less wearing on the joints in the knee. And the biggest benefit I like from it, I could give you 100 HIIT programs to do. And you can do a different one every single day, 300 programs if you wanted. Cardio programs, because of its limitations, has to be very similar. Where cardio training has to be very similar, but HIIT training, you can modify and adapt every single day you go into the gym. So you're constantly getting improvements. If you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to change some of the body composition, if you're looking to improve some of the stress management, HIIT training is phenomenal for improving our hormonal response to stress. So when we get a stress, our body can get that stress, blood pressure goes up, heart rate goes up, stress hormones in the body, and then we regulate it. So HIIT training and resistance training in particular improves people's resilience to overcome manage stress from a chronic point of view. Also acutely, but also chronically. But cardiovascular exercise, long steady state cardio, has been shown to increase gut permeability, increase oxidative stress. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. No, I'm not on air saying you shouldn't do it. But if there was a way up between what one would yield the best benefits from a female hormone point of view, interval training and HIIT training, hands over with the research, is fundamentally and essentially better than cardiovascular long steady state cardio. So I know people like to put their runners on and go for a run and switch their brain off. I love it. Definitely suggest you do that, but not as the only intervention on modality of exercise. In conjunction with interval training, in conjunction with HIIT training, in conjunction with resistance training. So that's one of the biggest, you want to call it the saboteurs of hormonal health and metabolic change for females, is doing too much cardio and just eating too little food. Okay, so what we're going to do is, rather than talk about what people are doing wrong, let's talk about what they can do right. And for me, the best way to put a plan in place that suits you, that suits your clients, that suits your level of health and well-being, is to have some sort of roadmap that we come back to and say, okay, see, where am I now? Where am I starting off? Where am I going to? And what do I need to adapt to keep getting results? So the first thing I want to get across is, one, is your health timeline. So I'm 40 years of age now. I've had, a certain amount of medical stress, I don't know what you call it, but you've had kids, you've worked in different countries, you've, body weight is going up or down, or activity levels have gone up or down, or whatever it may be. So for you now, imagine yourself, you're in the middle of a road. Hopefully there's no traffic on the road. You're in the middle of the road. The road over here is where you've come from. That's all the kids and the stress and the moving the house and, maybe medication, maybe operations, whatever it may be, is maybe career changes, stresses you've had in your life. So where you are now is not always down to what's gone in the past, but we can't neglect what's gone in the past. We need to take it into consideration. I've got guys that have come in to see me, they've had psoriasis and dysbiosis and stomach issues and food allergies, and they come to me here. I need to know, one, where you are right now, but two, the journey you've had before you got here. So sit down, either, retrospectively look into yourself and see what journey you've had leading up to you. What's worked for you in the past, what hasn't worked for you in the past, what's knocked you off the track, what's kept you on the track. So by identifying the timeline that you've traveled, it will allow you to hopefully make better decisions as you move in the opposite direction. So one, we assess the timeline. So for example, a lot of females that come in to me, they've had a lot of stress maybe around their period. They've had a lot of stress maybe if they got pregnant, or maybe they've done IVF treatment, or maybe they've had a chronic, issues with their gut where they've only gone to the bathroom once or twice a week and it's causing problems. Or maybe anxiety has been an issue for a long period of time. So if I was a normal trainer, less food, more training, that's not going to solve that problem. That person right now is going to be broken down if I do that. One, they're going to have more neurotransmitter issues, they're going to have more anxiety issues, and then they're going to get angry with themselves and frustrated because they're not getting the results they deserve from what they're doing. And that's not their fault. It's just that their metabolism, this body here right now, isn't in an optimal state to take that stimulus on board, take that training on board, and to adapt it positively moving forward. So thyroid issues, huge problem when it comes to females. Anemia, huge problem when it comes to females. But here right now, let's work on a bit of TLC. Let's work on get you moving, get you sleeping right, Get your nutrition sorted. But first of all, let's identify what's gone on in the past so we can, in an educated point of view, give recommendations to enhance what's gone on and hopefully allow our journey moving forward to be less filled with problems, less filled with frustration, less filled with plateaus, and we have a positive improvement. The biggest issue that I have is that people don't get success in the gym, don't get some success in their weight loss, their health and their energy and so on. And that really knocks them off the track. And sometimes when they've done that, they can actually cause more metabolic damage to the body. We all know that yo-yo dieting can cause a lot of pressure to the digestive system and also the thyroid system. And particularly females, if there is an issue when it comes to painful periods or killer cramps, or you think there may be some endometriosis or PCOS or something like that, get a check. One of my pet hates about women, particularly Irish women, is everyone else comes forward. So I'll go to the doctor, look after the kids, look after the husband or the partner, whoever it may be, and they always put themselves last. You need to address things before they become an issue. So go to the doctor, get your bloods done. If you need to talk to a counsellor, by all means, go and do that. But you need to be proactive in relation to your intervention to make yourself feel better. It's not just about killing yourself at work, killing yourself at home, and being under a high stress demand. I have no problem with people having a high stress if they have the resilience and the capabilities to manage that. But long-term moving forward, if the stress is overwhelming, with all the stresses going on, it can really, pressure people and bodies will break down. Some guys are putting on weight, some guys are losing weight. Some ladies are losing their menstrual cycle, causing digestive issues. So the body will speak to you if you listen to it. So what I would say to you is, in the two questions we say, the functional medicine questions, if you sit here right now, ask yourself two questions. One, what am I currently doing now in my life that is not helping my health? Is it too much alcohol? Is it not enough sleep? Is it too much gluten? Is it too much cardiovascular exercise? Is it too much smoking weed? I don't know what it is. Second thing it could be is, what can I add into my life to enhance my health? Go to bed early, drink more water, which is a big issue that I'll talk about. Not eating enough proper food, eating on the go, whatever it may be is. So one, what can you take away from your current life? And two, what can you add to that? And if you start to do that on a daily basis and a weekly basis and review yourself in conjunction with taking into consideration what's happened in the past, one of the things that I find a lot is people don't set themselves up for success. They say, oh, when I fell off the wagon, when I got home, there was no food in the house, and I got on to Just Eat to get some food in the house because I didn't have it. Or I opened the fridge door, there was nothing there, there was chocolate from the kids, and I had that. So if we identify what the derailers are, if we know back in the health timeline that you fell off the wagon when you did it on your own, or you fell off the wagon because you weren't shopping correctly, well, then we order the food to the house. You get onto online, you get your food delivered online, or you go to a meal company, but you do something to identify your roadblock, to identify what caused a derailer for you, and then overcome that with some intervention. Okay. Next. So then what we're going to do is, I like to think about it like a health sat nav. So at this moment in time, you're in one destination. You're in that middle of that road, as I talked about. So we take into consideration the journey we've had. And a lot of times that journey we've had has had some mileage on our body, for want of a better word. We've accumulated some damage. We've been off-road, on-road, blown out tires, oil check, whatever it may be. So we've accumulated some damage or some mileage along the road. And now we're sitting here. So imagine you go to buy a second-hand car. That car has been on the road for 40 years. It has accumulated some damage. And then we assess it to see what's going on. And the goal is to build that car, a better car, so we can continue on the journey. But right now, where we are is in our current location. We need two things when we need to enter a sat nav. One, our current location, and two, our destination. Now, I don't mind where that destination is. If that destination is a wedding dress, or if it's pregnancy, if it's a new career path, if it's a promotion, if it's a skinny jeans, I don't mind. But we need to have one, our current location, two, our destination is where we're looking to go to. And that is imperative, because otherwise we're aimlessly drifting through. We need some sort of, barometer to assess if we're getting the inroads we're improving in. I don't want people to say, I just want to feel a bit better. It doesn't mean anything to me, feel a bit better. What is it? It doesn't always have to be to do with weight. And I actually don't like people having a weight goal. But if it's a fitness goal, if it's a, a blood chemistry goal, if it's a, an energy, a mood, a concentration, a sleep, a cognitive function, whatever it may be, is we're looking to enhance health. And the scales in my opinion, is irrelevant. Photo shoots, I'm not a big fan of stuff like that, but I want you to feel better. I want you to build a better body so you can do all the things that you want to do in your life without undue fatigue, without undue illness and so on, to be fit and healthy and happy. That's what we're looking for. And in order for that to take place, we need a current location and our destination. And the reason being is, why do we want that? Because if we go off the track, if we go left or right, or we do an intermittent fasting that doesn't work for us, or we do this new Zumba class or Slimming World or Weight Watchers, if that's not helpful in our path moving forward, and again, weighing scales is not the answer, but if we're doing these interventions that's not working, we have that sat nav to reroute ourselves. You take the wrong turn, which you've all done in our life, we reroute ourselves, we get back on track, but in order for that to take place, we need to know those two locations. So in the car, we need to identify who should be in the car on this journey with us. And not only do we need to know who's going to be in this car on our journey moving forward, is we need to prioritize and systematically locate the people driving the car. So what I mean by that is we're on a journey. We're going on a health journey. I don't mean me in your car or somebody else in your car. What I mean is you're sitting in your car and you know your destination is to drop your body fat, to improve your fitness, skin, posture, digestion, whatever it is. We need to know who's in the car and what order. So a lot of people, as I said, the hammer, all they do is the front two people in the car is exercise is driving, and the front passenger is nutrition, low calories. And then in the back of the car, we have lifestyle, we have sleep, and we always have what I call a red flag. There's always something else. And the issue is when I see people, if you train 5 days a week, 5 days a week of training only represents 2.9% of your week. Let me say that again. If you exercise 5 days a week, which is a lot for the average person, 5 days a week only represent 2.9% of your actual week. Now, if you want to get to a destination, surely you don't want to put a person that's only going to contribute 2.9% of the week. But that's what everybody does. They neglect their sleep. They neglect their medication. They neglect the issues going on with the digestion. They neglect some skin issue or bleeding gums or irregular periods and say, that's grand, whatever, and I'll just focus on exercise. That will not fix you. That will not get you to your destination. Now, the younger you are, the less time you've been on the planet, and maybe the less rocky road you've had beforehand, as I said, a timeline, that may be okay. But you probably wouldn't be listening to this. Trainers out there, you wouldn't have clients if clients just got results from their own. If the client just did a bit of running and ate less food, they get the results. But we're not dealing with those people. And also when it comes to females, attention to detail, coaching them, supporting them, motivating them, and being there to facilitate their journey is what we're looking to do. And exercise and nutrition as the driving forces in the car will not get into the destination. Again, we have what's called the 80-20 rule. The Pareto principle. 80% of people will get results cutting calories and exercising more. 20% of people won't, and they need more attention. My practice is made up of those 20% of people, which is 100% of what I see. I see people that are not getting results. I chat to trainers all over the world, and they're coming to me with their 20%. So I see what's going on, and by just hammering everything with a hammer, it doesn't fix the problem. So sitting down and listening to your client, addressing what's gone on in the past, putting the health sat nav in place. Now that destination can change. That can change no matter what. But once we have that system, once we have that monitoring and reporting and method, we can have that barometer to assess where we're going. And that's fundamental. Now, I'm not saying you have to be, fully, anal about it, that this is all the focus is, but roughly. So when you buy your food, when you have your cheat meals, when you have food that's off the diet, when you exercise, when you put your program together, it still takes into consideration the direction you're going. And once we do that, and I'm a big fan of making these programs, I call them the personalized performance plans. When you put a plan in place for a female or any person for that matter, put it in conjunction to have some fun, have some engagement. And when you build a plan together, it's not just about nutrition and training, it's lifestyle. But when you get to see your girlies, when you get to switch off your mammy mode, when you get to switch off your sister mode, when you get just be a friend, when you get to put some time to yourself, and all these in conjunction with looking after all the facets of your life. We all wear different hats: brother hats, husband hats, son hats, father hats, employee hats, trainer hats, lover hats. Not as often as I'd like to, but that's a different story. But we all have different hats. So females, taking into consideration that we all need to address different aspects. So in this car, we have exercise in the front for the majority of people, nutrition as the passenger in the front. In the back of the car, we have sleep, we've lifestyle, and we've got red flags. So let's break those down a bit more. I think I should have them in the next slide here. So possible passengers. Exercise, as I said, is generally the driving force for the majority of people when I talk to them. Second thing is nutrition. And on that, the nutritional approach is either intermittent fast, something simple like that, or low calorie diet, which in my opinion isn't going to work for the majority of people, but it can work. So again, it's something that you have in your toolbox, but it's not always going to be, not everyone's going to be a nail. Next, we have lifestyle, then we have sleep, then we have the red flag. So let's go through those. So exercise, the first thing, I strongly recommend interval training, in particular high intensity interval training, then resistance training. Cardiovascular long steady state programs, brilliant. Love them in conjunction with a resistance training program, not instead of. Next, we have nutrition. Calorie deficit diets do work for the majority of people, but they're micronutrient deficient and they neglect metabolic irregularities, they neglect metabolic flexibility, and they don't take into consideration what you can do moving forward for the long term. So again, it's something that you need to do on an individual basis, and that's something, if you want, maybe the next webinar we take each one of these down individually and break it down for your clients. That might be an idea. We can do the Possible Passengers webinar series. Next thing is lifestyle. Lifestyle for me is fundamental, and if there was one thing in there, probably sleep is one other one, but lifestyle, and we'll put sleep nearly in that. People need to live a life to have the health they want. So if you're drinking or smoking or working too much or not sleeping enough, for some reason, it's okay, particularly in Ireland, it's okay to say to people, I'm wrecked, I didn't get to bed at this time, and I was up at this hour. People, it's like a badge of honor having a lack of sleep. It's nearly a badge of honor working crazy hours. But that's detrimental. That erodes the body. The most precious thing on this planet is time. So money is one thing, but time, having time and focus and energy. And in order for this to take place, I call it the A&E. We need action and we need energy. So when it comes to all these motivational books and all these motivational coaches, and one of the things I see a lot of, particularly now that I'm a bit more on social media, I see people, generalists, coming out with nutrition recommendations, eat less food, do more training. Yes, as I said, it works for 80% of the people. But I'll ask the question, are those trainers and coaches and nutritionists online seeing clients for 25 years? Are they seeing people in the trenches? Because if they were seeing people in the trenches, they wouldn't keep hammering in the same intervention. Because when you constantly see the same intervention not work day in, day out for hundreds and thousands of people, you'll realize that when I'm on social media and I just do a video on, oh, do this and you lose weight, correct. 80% of the people that follow your advice do it. But if that coach was actually in a gym, in a clinic, in a practice, seeing clients day in, day out, they'll realize, oh, there's much more to this. I'm simplifying it beyond what it needs to be, how it needs to be simplified. The great quote is, make things as simple as possible, but not simpler. So nutrition isn't that simple for everybody. For some people, cut the calories, lose weight. Majority of people, that's not the case. So lifestyle, then we look at food timing, we look at hydration, we look at exercise, we look at activity, we look at your mental health, we look at your sleep is the next one. We look at your engagement in different people. One of the things I spoke a lot about is oxytocin. Oxytocin is our hug hormone, our feel-good hormone, our charity hormone, or our dogs we get from sex and all the different things. But not being able to touch people, talk to people, engage in community. Again, we need to lend ourselves on that. So mental health and management of anxiety, and this all needs to be taken into consideration. So again, we look at nutrition, exercise, lifestyle. Sleep. I've talked extensively about sleep. I have a course online on the sleep. Of them, nearly every podcast, people drill me about sleep. The reason why I talk about it so much, I don't agree with what the majority of people are saying about sleep. Because what they've been saying for 10, 15 years, and it doesn't help people sleep. So my approach to sleep is very different than other people. It's very much lifestyle, nutrition, and exercise orientated, and it works. And like the feedback I get from people on a regular basis, I've had people out there taking it and put it into the research projects. I've had a lot of clients do it, athletes do it, time zones, pilots, everyone. And the feedback is solid because it works. Is it easy? No. But the success you get from it is massive. And the last one there is is a red flag. No matter what client has ever come to me, I've always found there's a red flag. And that red flag is something that if you improve, will have massive impact into everybody else in the car. So that could be thyroid problems. A lot of women, lateral toward of the eyebrow is thinning, cold hands, cold feet, weight gain, low blood sugar, menstrual irregularities, all these things are telling you there's something else going on. Or it could be dysbiosis. They have a scone or they have a piece of toast and all of a sudden their stomach looks like they're 6 months pregnant, or they only go to the bathroom every Wednesday, or a lot of wind, a lot of gurgling, very straining to go to the bathroom, or it's the opposite. So if that's going on, that's your fix. That's what you need to look at. If it's, psoriasis, eczema, dandruff, fungal infections, thrush, any sort of these issues that are going on need to be addressed because they are suppressing the immune system. They're causing issues with digestion of food, absorption and assimilation of vitamins and minerals and amino acids, the production of hemoglobin. For example, I talk to a lot of females that have very heavy cycles and eat no red meat. So hang on a second, very heavy cycles, not taking in B6, B9, B12, iron, copper. Well, how on earth are they going to have enough hemoglobin? No wonder they're getting out of bed every single day, crowbarring themselves out of bed. But what do? They still get up. They still get up and go, look after everybody, everyone else, work hard, do everything they do in their normal life, and there's nothing left for themselves. So it's fundamentally important that we address on that journey that we've had coming up to where we are in life, what's been going off in the dashboard? Has there been low tire or, petrol change or, the carburetor, or whatever it may be, is in that car, listen to your body, assess your health, look internally. Are you wrecked every single morning? Are you waking up multiple times at night time? Have you got swelling in your knees and your ankles? You take off a pair of socks, is there a massive indentation? One of the things I see a lot is that women have this thing called Morton's toe. Men can have it too. Your second toe is longer than your big toe. Sometimes it can alter joint mechanics. So that for a lot of running, that can cause stress. I see a lot of people with a lot of skin on the back of their heel. That's showing issues when it comes to digestion. Red bumps on the back of the arm, creases along the back of their neck, increasing darkness in the skin tags, bleeding gums, coating on the tongue and the mouth. All these things are giving you an indication that from a metabolic and nutritional point of view, there's something going on. There's something underlying that needs to be addressed. And in order for it not to be addressed, you're not going to get to your journey where you need to get to. If someone has digestive issues, absorption of food, going to the bathroom, immune system and weight loss, and detoxification is compromised. A good friend of mine, Dr. Brian Walsh, has an amazing research when it comes to fat loss and detoxification. And you can check out his website, metabolicfitnesspro.com. But needless to say that everyone, will, in my opinion, will have something that needs to be addressed. It could be something small. It could be, maybe knee issues or lower back issues. So I hear females say, I have a dodgy knee. I'm not quite sure what a dodgy knee is, but it's not a medically diagnosed injury, but it's something that they're training around, that they can't train themselves hard enough. I have a program online. It's a 6-week transformation for females. But in it, I talk about how you can do real aerobic exercise in an interval form and how you can bring down the wear and tear in people's joints. Women have a large acute angle or hip space, so sometimes the knees can contract in and the ankles can contract in. And I see people's postures when they walk around, particularly if women have got large breasts and they're running, it can cause problems on the shoulders and the forward head. So we're looking at getting those shoulders back, the posture up. But repetitive running and high volume running can cause more of an issue. So postural problems, both from an upper body point of view, but from a knee tracking and an ankle tracking, and then it hits into the lower back. And by having kids and losing weight and gaining weight and so on, that moves things around from a muscular point of view, from a fascial point of view, from a skin point of view. And I constantly see people taking collagen creams and hyaluronic acid stuff to increase hydration. That's too little too late, in my opinion. Let's get it from the inside out rather than the outside in. Now, I do believe that people can transdermally absorb nutrients, but it's much more sufficient and proactive to get the nutrients in, first of all. But aerobic exercise, a lot of aerobic exercise is pro-inflammatory. It increases oxidative stress in the body and causes that erosion, or what we call advanced glycated end products, ages. It causes rust to the body. So let's review as though. 1 is exercise. 2 is nutrition. 3 is lifestyle. 4 is sleep. And 5 is the red flag. So, and this is the thing, maybe on the journey, we change seats. Maybe on the first, we put lifestyle as the driving force and sleep as the passenger, everyone else in the back. We get, 2 or 3 weeks into the program. In my opinion, 2 weeks is a good goal. And then we go, maybe nutrition is the driving force, exercise is second. And then we get another 2 weeks in. We're a month in now. We're bouncing off the wall. We're full of energy. Then we swap over. Then we put nutrition as the passenger, exercise as the driving force, and then we can train hard. But you see how I'm changing that based on the success and the trajectory of where we're going. We're improving it all at the same time. So next we have a performance review. Go back. So performance review, we need to make sure that along that road that we're assessing how effective and how impactful and powerful our intervention was. And we can start to change things around. Now, maybe in those passengers, maybe you need to see a nutritionist, or maybe you need to see a rehabilitation exercise person for your knee or osteopath, or maybe you need to get your bloods tested, or maybe you need to go and see a coach. Or the red flag may be something that may need expertise. Maybe it'd be a CBT therapist, it could be, you know, a chiropractor, it could be a gastroenterologist, it could be anything. But by neglecting it, by not listening to the body, by ignoring the signs on the dashboard of your car, it will not help you long-term moving forward to get to where you need to get to. So I'm not trying to preach to people, but I have so many clients that have come to see me and they're going, you're anemic. And like, for example, we have this enzyme in our body that helps us, that we need to tap into our fat reserve to burn fat. It's called carnitine. It's carnitine acetyltransferase 1 and carnitine acetyltransferase 2. Fancy word, carnitine, carnitine. Where do you think we get carnitine from? Meat. Mainly red meat. So when I assess people's diets and there's no red meat in it, their weight gain, they're increasing their weight, but they're eating less calories and overtraining. You see the disconnect. We need magnesium, we need carnitine, and if we're sweating out all our magnesium, we're not taking in our magnesium because we're eating no carbs, we're overtraining and we're not getting any red meat in. Can you see that it's not going to get us toward the direction? I see that person breaking down the side of the road in a few miles up there. So we seek out support. I'm not saying come to someone like me, come to anybody. Talk to your trainer, talk to your coach, hire a trainer, hire a coach, get online, talk to people. But by taking this approach with you and your clients, the success rate, the satisfaction you're going to get from helping people, the satisfaction that you're going to get from feeling better about yourself, not walking around on 40%. I ask people all the time, when you wake up in the morning, what's your percentage on your internal battery? Is it 20%? Is it 20%? But people are walking around and they're flat. And they're flat a long time, and their satisfaction from stuff, their enjoyment from things, their feedback from a dopamine and serotonin and hormonal balance from things is low. They're not getting the same, you know, enjoyment from things. And I know things are stressful, and I understand that, but there's a lot of time that we can self-reflect and look in on ourselves and see what we can do, whether it's meditation or mindfulness or yoga, tai chi, whatever you want to do, but address it. Don't, if you neglect it and you ignore it, it will manifest over time and wear you down. Maybe not now. There's a joke there. Not soon, but at some point down the line, it will cause an issue. How am I doing on time there? I'm good. Okay, next, I'm going to throw this in from a bonus content point of view. Sometimes the more of these webinars I do, the more of these presentations I do, the more questions people have. So we just threw this in at the end to help you address some areas that may come up. So number one is good health. So there is a lot of content online when it comes to good health. For me, if good health is an issue, that could be one of your red flags. So in the back of the car, good health may be something that you need to address. If that is an issue, please reach out to me. Please let me know, or refer someone on to you, or even some books or podcasts you can listen to. But it's definitely something that may need to be addressed. Excuse me. Next, we have anemia. So anemia is the impaired ability to transport oxygen to the cells of the body to do whatever it may be. That could be skin, you know, cold hands, cold feet, you know, thinning hair, brittle nails, fatigue. Mainly, a lot of it's down to fatigue. It could be and there's 27 different forms of anemia. People just think it's all iron related. It's not all iron related. And iron in the blood chemistry is only one marker in conjunction with multiple markers like transferrin and ferritin and MCV and MCHC that all indicate what's going on. So it's not just one marker. If you've got heavy menstrual cycles, or if you're not eating red meat, or you're a vegetarian, these are things that need to be addressed. You need to assess that. It's fundamental to health. It's fundamental to cardiovascular fitness, mental clarity, cognition, and also your immune system. So fundamentally, you get that checked out. Next thing here is hormones. A lot of people would jump down the bandwagon. It's always hormones a problem. It's not always. Who knows? It takes into consideration the journey you've been on before you got here. That's what's going to cause maybe hormones are an issue. For me, insulin is the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to balancing hormones, and also thyroid. Irish women, and particularly actually in Europe for that matter, thyroid issues are massive, particularly if you've been pregnant. It's up and down the metabolic function. And just so you know something, if thyroid is a problem, nothing that you do. I've had clients come in here on 700 calories a day, but because their thyroid is dysfunctional, they're fatigued, they're gaining weight, and their brain isn't functioning at all. So if thyroid is an issue, it will sabotage everything. So it may be a situation where you get it checked. And having constant miscarriages, by the way, if you've had more than one miscarriage, I would definitely get your thyroid checked, and also look into gluten, non-celiac gluten sensitivity, or any sort of gluten intolerance at all. It's very important that we assess those hormones, and the more regularly you get checked, the more you can assess things and compare them as you move along. People go in now and just get a blood test done, and they're in range, but maybe last time they were in much better range than they are now. So having a trajectory and having a barometer of assessment is more, usable to see what way your hormones have changed over time, particularly if people are going through menopausal issues and so on. I've had a lot of women go through menopause, and in conjunction with the right nutrition, the right training, the right supplementation, it's not going to be said asymptomatic, as in no symptoms, but you can manage it much better. And then I see other people go through a very hard time. I have clients come to me from a mental health point of view, and that's not my expertise, but what I do is a lifestyle, nutrition, and exercise around that. But they're B complex deficient, they're essential fatty acid deficient. And when we can enhance our neurotransmitters, we can enhance our removal of waste products, when we can help ourselves sleep better and work better and focus better, everything else improves. So yes, medication is fundamental. Yes, therapy intervention is fundamental for people, but in conjunction with lifestyle. I see people, and again, when they get stressed, they drink so much. We have an enzyme in the body called ALT, and ALT is mainly a liver enzyme, and when you drink a lot, you deplete that. But then, what did I say earlier on? B6 is essential for every neurotransmitter. So people are drinking, causing depression and depressed, and they drink a bit more, and it's your vicious cycle. And from a genetic point of view, or what we call this gene mutations called single nucleotide polymorphisms, or gene mutations, some people are predisposed to more inclination to be more, focused on our OCD or bipolar or alcoholism. And that's not their fault necessarily. But again, genetics load the gun, environment pull the trigger. So there's a lot that we can do about our health, but ignoring it and neglecting it is not going to help us. Next there, we have incorrect exercise prescription. For me, exercise is prescribed for that person, for their timeline, for their abilities, for their goal, and for what they're looking to be able to do. And unfortunately, there's a lot of incorrect exercise. Exercise is not the be all and end all. It is important, but it's not the only thing that you should be addressing. It is part of the people in the car, and maybe the driving force, it may not be. But long, steady state aerobic exercise, in the absence of balancing it with corrective exercise, in the absence of balance with resistance training, in the absence of doing interval training, can over time cause a lot of metabolic and gastrointestinal issues, which are not going to help you moving forward from a health point of view. And then stress resilience. There has to be some sort of coping mechanisms. There's a lot of stress in our lives that we can take away, and that's we clearly can. Sometimes people do that, sometimes people don't. However, there's a lot of things that we can help our bodies to be able to healthily be resilient and robust about that stress. And unfortunately, a lot of times when I chat to people and talk to clients, their coping mechanism with stress is unhealthy. It's alcohol, it's drugs, it's lack of sleep, it's bad decisions in nutrition or lifestyle. So what we want to do is be able to give our clients the ability to have the skills and energy to get rid of stuff that's stressful for them, or if they can't get rid of it, to manage it better, to give them coping mechanisms, meditation, mindfulness, whatever it may be. Exercise is great at stress resilience, but the more your energy is up, the more your health is up, the more you're robust and feeling better, everything else can be dealt with better. Your body's response and ability to combat stress and not to let it overwhelm you is substantially elevated. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for resilience and stress to be able to handle what's going to come our way moving forward. And when we're making decisions on the go, when we're reacting to things and not responding to things, when we're switched on and cognitively, 100%, everything is better. We call it the flow. And the more we can be in the flow, the more we can identify areas that come our way, we can get out of the way, we can make better decisions, and we're resilient, we're robust enough to be able to manage that. And that's what I want for females. I want them to feel happy and healthy. I want them to be able to travel their journey and enjoy it. A lot of times, and one of the things I said to my wife recently, we have this goal of doing something all the time. It's always the next goal. And I'm very goal oriented. I love that. But you know what? Let's enjoy the journey. Let's enjoy the process. Like, losing weight doesn't have to be, the be all and end all. That's all you focus on. It's something that you're traveling towards. But step back and look at the journey, the process moving forward. One, by identifying and enjoying the journey, you'll know what you need to do if you go off the track again. Also, by not having it to be all and end all and the only focus in life, that's not it. You know, you need to enjoy the process, enjoy the people around you. And when you do that, not only will you enjoy it, but the process will be easier, and then you can help other people around you, which is fundamentally what we're looking for. So that comes to the end of that. So let's stop the screen sharing. And if there is any questions, stop share. So any questions, guys, you can just drop them into the box there and I'll try and answer them. We've got a few more minutes. So anonymous attendee. Okay, so if someone is having a miscarriage, first of all, that I would definitely check the thyroid. It's one of my biggest things to look at, and also look at gluten. So thyroid and gluten have been shown to be very common in people that have constant miscarriages. Also, if there's a gene called the MTHFR gene, it's particularly important when it comes to folic acid metabolism or B9 metabolism. That's definitely something that I would look at. Fluoride added to Irish water inhibits iodine ability to bind to the thyroid. So fluoride is for fools. So excuse my language there, I hope I don't offend anybody, but fluoride brings nothing to the table. Fluoride will definitely, and has been shown categorically, to impact on thyroid function. If your thyroid is optimal, it may not be a huge thing, but if it is compromised, it will definitely affect it. So fluoride-free toothpaste is a way to go, definitely when it comes to stuff like that. Iodine, thyroid, fluoride, there's a disconnect with the binding, the uptake, and the utilization of the actual receptor side itself. When it comes to thyroid, also, guys, I'd look at vitamin A. Vitamin A is fundamental to the receptor of the gene itself. Next here, I'll move this over. Carmen, fluoride toothpaste. Do you have any specific protocols for training, lifestyle? Okay, so when it comes to training and lifestyle for thyroid health, a few things that I'll look at. Long, steady state cardio causes a lot of oxidative stress. Oxidative stress can really downregulate the conversion of T4 to T3. So that's something that I'll definitely look at. I will look at more frequent workouts, maybe 5 to 6 workouts per week, but bringing the volume down to maybe 30-minute workouts. And I would do interval training, strength training, interval training, strength training, 2 days on, 1 day off, ultimately will be the best thing for that. But the thyroid needs to be checked. If it's out of range, well, then what I would do is I would talk to a physician in that area and look at addressing thyroid medication. My opinion, and Dr. Serrano's and Dr. Brian Walsh's, will be a blend, not just T4. T4 is like being paid dollars in Ireland. We can't actually use dollars. We need to convert it to T3. T3 is our active hormone, is what we're looking to use. Next one here is any recommendation on shift workers to improve sleep, apart from meal timing, daylight, walking hours. Okay, so when it comes to shift workers, it's you know what? I have a major problem with it. Shift work has been shown to be 100% in every research paper carcinogenic. It causes issues. It causes problems. So sunglasses when they leave the office in the morning to block out the sunlight. Melatonin has been shown to be extremely effective. Melatonin is a medication in our prescription, so I can't recommend that, but it is very effective. The research is solid. So melatonin. Red light therapy is also very effective. They can use, you know, the blue blocking glasses is very effective. And then get them over that shift as quick as possible. Nutrition training, Mart, is definitely going to help. And we talk about those Zeitgebers. So look up the Zeitgebers and understand which one you need to work on. But blocking out the exterior stimulus from the lights, the red light at nighttime and in the morning, and melatonin will have a massive impact. Nutrition when it comes to menopausal women. So nutrition comes to menopausal women. One thing that I look at, when the ovaries start to actually cease function, we take a lot of our hormonal output from our adrenal glands. So anything that's going to impact our adrenal glands will really be supportive towards the transition from menopausal symptoms. So for me, the biggest one I start off with is a blend of fish oil. A lot of females will go for even primrose oil or borage oil. I like a blend. So Dr. Serrano has one called Alpha Omega, which I've used with great success. Also, GLA can also be used. I really like that. Also vitamin E. Vitamin E is the vitamin of the ovaries. So a fat-soluble vitamin A, D, E, and K, and also fish oil is fundamental. And also magnesium has been shown to help manage night sweats and heats and so on. So a good blend of EPA, DHA, fish oil, and other omega oils. Fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K in particular, vitamin E, you're looking at 400 international units, and a magnesium to help things down. Then when it comes to regulation, I would look at HRV when it comes to balancing of sympathetic and parasympathetic. Mindfulness, meditation will really help females during that transition. But everybody is different. But the more you support the adrenal glands, the more you support the phospholipid membranes, the better it's going to be. What is coating on the back of the tongue? An indication of dysbiosis. So an increase of whiteness on the tongue is an indication that digestively there's something amiss going on. It could be that you're breathing through your mouth at night time. It could be that you have food allergy as well. And also from a Chinese medicine, I did a few courses on what's called liver stasis or cholestasis or gallbladder stasis, where you have lack of flow or qi through the area, and they say it's related to the tongue. So for me, Anne-Marie, you're looking at dysbiosis, imbalanced gut bacteria. So a probiotic will definitely help in that conjunction, or a gut protocol. A food allergy may be a symptom that you're suffering with, or it could be that your gallbladder and liver aren't cleaning themselves out at night time. That's more Chinese medicine. Client has low vitamin D, high MCV, which stands for mean corpuscular volume, is the size of the cell, and low iron. Can it be associated with good health? Very bloated, 100%. So what you can have is, you can have this thing called SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, where the lower part of the abdomen will swell out after a meal, and that's where the large intestinal bacteria will migrate up to the small intestine and start to ferment food when it comes in. So vitamin A, vitamin D in particular, we need a functional liver and a kidney in order for vitamin D to be formed into the actual bioavailable form and usable form in our body. So for me, Greg, definitely look at getting vitamin D sorted. A high MCV is an indication of low B9, low B12. And when that's an issue, then I look at absorption, because B12 we should absorb from a food. But assess the food diary to make sure that there's the correct amount of vitamins coming in the first place. And then that's the same thing with iron. So check the intake of iron and B12 containing foods, address the vitamin D issue, and see that if there is SIBO related issues. Also, I would look at histamine related foods to see if they're causing an issue. Next here is IBS, how to address it in an issue with nutrition. So IBS is a bullshit diagnosis. So people out there, doctors give the diagnosis all the time. It means nothing. There's no real definitive answer when someone has IBS. Is it IBS mixed? Is it IBS constipated? IBS diarrhea? What you're looking to do is cause the root cause of the problem. Remove what's causing an irritation, re-inoculate the gut, rebuild the gut lining, help the pancreatic function. It's a very open question there, but what I might do is I might go through, a specific gut health protocol, but look up the 5R protocol online, and you get some really good insights from that. If you do have more questions on that, maybe I'll do a video on IBS just to clarify that. Next one, many of my clients are on the contraceptive pill, but can they do to migrate or cover the negative side effects, to mitigate the negative side effects? So there's a great book called Beyond the Period, Beyond the Pill. The second one is called the Period Repair Manual. And Jolene Brighton is one of the leading experts when it comes to coming off the pill. What I would say is a CoQ10, very simply, CoQ10, 150 milligrams to 200 milligrams of CoQ10 and a B complex have been shown to be very effective at offsetting the imbalance of the nutritional deficiencies caused by the contraceptive pill. So that would be one thing. What I would say is the copper coil has been shown to be an effective substitute for the contraceptive pill, and there's other things that people can do, but Beyond the Pill and the Period Repair Manual, both two really good resources that you can have for yourself to give to your clients. But a B complex, a good pharmaceutical made B complex, and also a CoQ10, 150 milligrams to 200 milligrams of CoQ10 can be very effective for women with issues related to the pill and its depletion of the body. Menopause, is menopause an increase in cholesterol? Yes, 100%. So menopausal, as you get older, females, your cholesterol will go up, and that's cholesterol is an anti-inflammatory marker in the body, and also the raw material for a lot of hormones. So it is, Brian Walsh talks extensively about this. As women get older, the cholesterol will go up. Is that deleterious to health? In my opinion, no. But every case it has to be assessed on a case-per-case basis. But necessarily, your cholesterol going up isn't necessarily a bad thing. It is correlated to age. It's most 100% is. Okay, so I don't think there's any more questions there. If there is, just pop them into the box now, guys. I'm actually exactly on time. It's 11:29. First time I've ever finished a presentation online, so I'm delighted about that. Okay, so thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday morning to listen to this Irish guy speak excessively fast. So I do hope you got some content from that. Please take a picture and share on Instagram. We'll try to get this done on a regular basis. And what I'll do is I'll download once this is finished, I'll download it and put it onto the website. So other than that, guys, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. And I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.